Welcome to Timeless Chronicles. Explore history, mysteries, and fascinating stories from 17 photos from celebrity open casket funerals. Subscribe now for captivating content that takes you beyond time. Timeless Chronicles, history, mysteries. Enjoy this video. Bruce Lee. In 1973, Lee died of cerebral edema after completing his final film, Enter the Dragon, in Hong Kong. Before he was flown back to Seattle to be buried, a public mourning was held for his fans, and close to 20,000 people attended a public viewing of his body. Age, death at 32, 1940 to 1973, birthplace, San Francisco, California, USA. Martin Luther King Jr. After the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his body was laid in an open casket in Atlanta on April 9th, where over 1,000 mourners came to pay their respects to the civil rights leader. While the body lay in state in Memphis days earlier, the wound in King's neck was still visible, and many mourners reportedly kissed and touched King's face. Age, Desire, at 39, 1929 to 1968, birthplace, Georgia, USA, Atlanta. James Brown. In 2006, a number of celebrities, including Michael Jackson, paid their respects to James Brown at his funeral. Jackson was just one of the thousands who gathered around Brown's 24-karat gold coffin. Age, December at 73, 1933-2006. Birthplace, USA, South Carolina, Barnwell. Grace Kelly. After suffering a cerebral hemorrhage while driving through the hills of Monaco, Grace Kelly died in a car crash and was committed to her final resting place in the Grimaldi family vault. Kelly, also known as Princess Grace of Monaco, drew film stars and royalty to her funeral in Monaco's St. Nicholas Cathedral. Age, December at 52, 1929 to 1982, birthplace, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Hank Williams. After dying from a mixture of alcohol and morphine, Hank Williams was laid to rest in Montgomery, Alabama, in front of over 2,000 mourners. His body was shown in Montgomery, AL, where the famous photos of the country legend in his casket were taken. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's career was cut short when he was shot by his own father on April 1, 1984. His funeral was held at the Forest Lawn Cemetery and reportedly drew many of his fellow performers. Age, December at 44, 1939 to 1984. Birthplace, Washington, D.C., USA. Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa's passing was regarded as the end of an era, not only by people of faith, but also by the millions she inspired. Mourners paid their respects as her body passed through Calcutta on its way to the Netaji Indoor Stadium. Age, Decimi at 87, 1910-1997. Birthplace, Skopje, Yugoslavia. Bill Bojangles Robinson. Bill Robinson may have been the most prominent African-American performers of the early 20th century. He died at the age of 71 from heart failure, and his funeral arrangements were made by none other than Ed Sullivan, and thousands filed past his casket to pay their respects. Age, deceased at 71, 1878 to 1949. Birthplace, Richmond, Virginia, USA. Abraham Lincoln. After Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, his body was taken on a 5-state tour via train. His body was viewed in Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois before he was finally buried in Oak Ridge Cemetery, just outside of Springfield, Illinois. Age, death at 56, 1809 to 1865. Birthplace, Hodgenville, Kentucky, USA. Etta James. When Etta James passed in 2012, her body was displayed in an open casket, much to the chagrin of people on the internet. Photographer Ann Cusack said she put her camera away once a no photos request was made, but later resumed when it became clear that request was made for members of the public using personal cameras. Age, at 73, 1938 to 2012. Birthplace, Los Angeles, California, USA. Eva Perón. After Eva Perón's death in 1952, 2 million Argentinians paid tribute to their First Lady, but then her body went into hiding for nearly 20 years. Always moving and crushed into a small casket, aged at 33, 1919-1952, birthplace, Argentina, Los Toldos. Jesse James, one of history's most famous outlaws, was murdered in 1882, and his death inspired a variety of rumors. His mother reportedly charged people a quarter to take a pebble from his grave, and there were even whispers that James faked his own death. After James was murdered, his body was displayed at Sid and Faden's funeral parlor in St. Joseph, Missouri, where photos were taken. Age 59, birthplace Shawnee, Oklahoma, USA. Emmett Till, a 14-year-old African-American, was lynched after being accused of flirting with a white woman, an accusation we now know was false. His mother insisted on an open casket funeral to show the world the depths that racial injustice had reached. Till's body was so badly disfigured that he was only recognizable by the initials on a ring that he was wearing. The Chicago Sun-Times ran a series of photos of the open casket service. Age, decor. At 14, 1941 to 1955, birthplace Chicago, Illinois. Nelson Mandela. When former South African President Nelson Mandela passed away in 2013, his mourners included foreign dignitaries, presidents, and thousands of members of Mandela's community. Mourners were allowed to pass the casket and pay their private respects to the anti-apartheid revolutionary. The only photos of the casket that exist show his body barely visible through a glass lid, guarded by members of the military. Age, Desir. At 95, 1908 to 2013. Birthplace Mvezo, South Africa. Vladimir Lenin might have had the most famous open casket funeral in recent memory. In fact, his body is still on display at the Lenin Mausoleum, although there has been debate about removing the body from public viewing. Age, 53, 1870 to 1924. Birthplace, Ulyanovsk, Russia. Boris Yeltsin. In 2007, Boris Yeltsin, the first president of Russia, passed away and was given an open casket service that was attended by a variety of world leaders. Age, Decimet 76, 1931 to 2007. Birthplace, Russia.